Hi Scorpios, welcome to your February 2019 Tarology 33 reading. We have a Celtic cross spread in front of us, which is normally 10 cards, but you had some extra cards come out. And then we have 2 Oracle cards and a Mudra card to get to at the end of the reading, so quite a bit to get through. We'll start with the main spread, going one by one. And in the main situation, you have the 5 of Swords. So, this is usually just seen as an ego conflict. You know, generally speaking, this is one of those energies where you know that nothing good's going to come out of this type of situation, but you still do it anyway. It's usually just some type of argument where basically no one's really trying to accomplish anything productive out of it. It's just about winning, basically. And you could kind of see that energy there. You know, there's 2 people walking off. It looks like those are probably their swords that they dropped. And then this person has like that, you know, kind of sly look on their face, like they got away with something, you know. And this could also, though, be pointing to a timeline. This is an Aquarius card for me, which represents 0 to 10 degrees of Aquarius. And at the time I'm recording this, actually, I'm recording this on the 19th. So, this could just be pointing to the timeline, you know. But, I mean, given the card that we have in the challenge position and some of the other cards I see in the spread, this most likely was an actual conflict that you guys had. Maybe it's both, you know, maybe that was, you know, this is pointing to a conflict that you had, and also that's when it happened for some of you. But yeah. Generally speaking, like I said, there's not really a good way to look at this card when it's in the upright. It's just that, you know, like I said, nothing really gets accomplished from this type of energy. But yeah, I mean, what's done is done, right? So that's what's in the main situation position. And in the challenger obstacle position, we have the 9 of Wands. So, I mean, if we look at this person's face, you know, it looks like, alright, if I could get it to focus. There we go. Look at this person's face, it looks like they, you know, clearly like they're hurt, right? Looks like that could be a bandage on their head. And then you just see that look on their face. They don't look like they're very pleased. So for those of you who did have a conflict, you know, this could be either you that's feeling this way right now, you know, still feeling the effects of it, and almost on guard expecting there to be more, right? Or, you know, if it's the other person, same thing, you know, that could be how they're feeling right now. But, you know, this is one of those things where it's like the person might not have necessarily given up just yet, but they're not necessarily looking very optimistically towards what's to come next either, you know what I mean? So, you know, kind of tough energy that you guys are dealing with right now from the looks of it, if this resonates with you. You know, there's not really, well, I mean, actually that eclipse energy, you're going to have quite a bit going on actually with the fixed signs, and for the past 18 months for the most part, you guys have had Leo with the north node and Aquarius with the south node, and Leo and Aquarius square you. Those are 2 other fixed signs, and then Taurus is another sign that's a fixed sign and that opposes you. And you know, the north and south node have moved on out of those signs now, but at the time I'm recording this, we're about a day away from that eclipse that's going to be in Leo, 0 degrees Leo. So basically what that is it's a lunar eclipse. So the moon is going to be at 0 degrees Leo, sun's going to be at 0 degrees Aquarius. And then Uranus isn't in Taurus, but it's a couple of degrees away. So they're basically going to be squaring, and then you being a Scorpio, you're like the missing link, basically. You're the only one who doesn't have a planet really playing into this dynamic, but at the same time you're definitely going to feel that in one way, shape, or form. So maybe that's what's at play there too, you know. And maybe that's to say maybe you've been going through a lot of these conflicts during that 18-month period. So maybe, you know, let's say each of these wands represent maybe one time where you've had this type of argument, right? So the person's like, all right, just waiting for the next one to come, essentially, you know? It's like they don't expect anything to change, whether that be you who feels that way or the other person. In the foundation position, though, very different dynamic. We have the Two of Cups, and we have the Six of Cups. So, to me, this definitely makes it seem like this is probably a romantic relationship dynamic more than, say, a friendship. But looking at these two cards here, this could just be saying that, you know, this might have been what the connection was, right? Maybe at one point this is how the two of you were, right? Either it was an established relationship and this was how the two of you were interacting with each other, or this is to say it had the potential to become a relationship, but, you know, for whatever reason you guys ran into that conflict. And then the Six of Cups shows that either you or the other person probably wants to reconcile in some way. The way I referred to this card is being the bigger person, because if we look at the size difference between the two people in the card, and it looks like they're extending a gift to that person, right? So, you know, it could just be saying that either you or the other person wants to extend the olive branch and see if you guys can repair the connection. Given that this is in the foundation position. And, you know, I can already see, even if we look at where, given the way that this came up in the challenger obstacle position, it's almost like because it's at that angle, it looks like this person's looking right at that, right? And that could be what they're reluctant about, you know? Like, okay, this person wants to extend the olive branch, but they might still have fresh in their mind that, okay, but we do that, sure, we get back together, but is it just going to end up right back at this point again, you know? So either you or the other person might still feel a little unsure about reconciling. In the past position, we have the Four of Cups, the Ten of Wands, and the Page of Swords. Alright. There we go. Got it to focus. So, these three cards together, the first thing that comes to mind when I'm looking at them actually is, to me, this card represents someone being offered something, but they're not happy with the offer. So it could be, again, going back to maybe you've already tried to reconcile with that person and they weren't having it, or vice versa, they tried to reconcile with you and you weren't having it. But the way I'm seeing this more, though, is this was like an ongoing theme, where either you or the other person kept making offers, and whoever was on the receiving end of those offers wasn't really accepting them. And, you know, where this card is a bit frustrating is it's almost like you could see the person's clearly not happy with what's being offered to them, but yet they're still sitting there, right? They're not making any attempt to move away from it, right? They're just sitting there looking right at it. And so the universe is like, all right, well, I guess you're cool with this, so I'm going to keep bringing you more of it, right? As opposed to actually taking the initiative to say, well, I don't want this. I'm going to go out there and get what I do want, right? If you guys know the image of the Eight of Cups, for example, to me that represents similar energies to this, but that's actually the person finally taking the initiative to say, you know what, I'm not happy with this. I'm going to go move on and find something that I am happy with. So this is what I'm seeing primarily. I see one of you is in that energy, and this is most likely the other person making those offers. This is how they're feeling, right? They're like, well, I keep, you know, making these offers to this person. It's not getting me anywhere, right? And then that would say for whoever was on the receiving end of those offers, again, with that Four of Cups energy, the issue was they're also not communicating what they do want, right? It's like, okay, that's not something you want, but you're still hanging around, so what exactly do you want, right? And to me, this energy shows someone who's not comfortable speaking up about what they want. And I mentioned the last couple of months when I've been seeing now the Page of Swords, I was like, what kind of sticks out to me too is it looks like that's it looks like two trees there, but they remind me almost of the Facebook F. So this even could have been something going on online. Maybe it's someone from your past that have been messaging back and forth, and for whatever reason, it's like you're still hanging around with them, but you're not moving anywhere with them. Whether you're the one on the receiving end of the offer or the one making the offer, it just seems like two of you are spinning your wheels, and maybe that's the basis of these arguments too. You know what I mean? Like, it could be like, so what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like one of those types of arguments, and it just keeps coming around, but neither one of you is walking away either. In the present position, we have the Queen of Wands. So this is a court card for Aries. So some of you could be dealing with an Aries. Some of you, this could be the energy you're taking on. I think I mentioned this last month for you guys as well, but Mars moved into Aries at the start of January, and it's going to be there about halfway through the month of February as well. And what I was saying is, for me, primarily, I think of Scorpio ruled by Pluto. But a lot of astrologers view it as co-ruled by Pluto and Mars. So I was saying, well, if you look at it from that angle, where Mars goes, that's going to have an impact on you, right? So maybe that's saying that you're taking on that Aries energy, being a bit more fiery and reactive, maybe a bit more impulsive than you normally would be. There's nothing going on in your first house, which would also point to potential Aries energy. You guys had Venus in there for a while and everything, but your actual sign is pretty clear now. So, this could be pointing again to you just taking on more of that Aries type energy. Some of you could be dealing with an Aries, or any fire sign. Could also be a Leo or a Sagittarius, but this is primarily my Aries card. And this could also just be saying where you're putting your energy now. This is Aries represents your sixth house. So this could just be saying that you're throwing a lot of your energy into work now. Maybe all these issues with the back and forth. Maybe you just decided, you know what, I'm not even going to worry about it anymore, and just moved on to work. And maybe that's what's at the basis of these conflicts too, actually. Maybe, it comes down to maybe one person was more in the mood for a bit of loving, and the other one's like, look, I have so much on my plate right now, I can't even possibly be bothered with that, and then that's where the conflicts came into play. Because that Nine of Wands energy could point to that too. So maybe one of you was too focused on your career, and the other person's like, are we ever going to do anything together? And just didn't come off well and just turned into a big fight, possibly. In the near future position, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So speaking of the sixth house, this is actually my court card for Virgo, which is the natural ruler of the sixth house. So this again could be pointing to just saying that you've shifted your focus to career. You're like, all right, whether you're the one in this energy or the other person is, you're like, you know what, I'm not even going to put any more energy towards that right now. I'm just going to focus on getting my money right. And but for some of you too, this could also be, since it is a night and it looks like they're extending that pentacle out, this could also be either you or the other person making a gesture to the other person to try to reconcile. So this could be buying them a gift, let's say, since it's a pentacle, right? You're not going to flat out offer them money, be like, here, I'll give you $50 if you come back, right? That would be a little suspect. But, maybe this is just you or the other person presenting a gift in an attempt to reconcile. It is February too. Maybe someone even is trying to think of doing that for Valentine's Day, for example, But yeah, the thing is with the Knight of Pentacles too, though, it's the slowest moving of all the knights. So might just be someone dragging their feet about it too. Like maybe they know it's what they want to do, but they're just taking their sweet time doing it. And, on the flip side too, that could be what was going on this whole time. Maybe one person was getting impatient, trying to figure out what the deal was, while the other person was moving towards them, but just very slowly. So yeah, some of this looks like it's just misunderstandings, really, but doesn't look like it was handled well, probably by either side. With the Five of Swords, usually, I mean, it takes two to tangle in that place, so you're probably both guilty to some extent, no matter who might have initiated it. But yeah, that's just the vibe I'm getting there. And then in your influence on the situation, we have the Devil card, and we have the Ace of Wands. So, I mean, these two cards together, what I immediately thought about was someone trying to get some makeup sex going. So that would be you, since this is your influence on the situation. So you could just be like, you know what, whatever. Let me just try to, flat out be like, hey, let's get some makeup sex going. um, that was the first thing that came to my mind, just because these two cards were together. Like, if we were to take them separately, just the Devil card by itself, yes, that could also still be a very sexual energy, but it could also be just an obsessive energy. It's a major arcana card for Capricorn, so sometimes this could point to, again, like I was saying, maybe this would just be emphasizing again that you might be very focused on career right now, and maybe that was what was causing the conflict between you and the other person. Because this could just be obsessive energy in general, and when you think Capricorn, that's the 10th house, and that could be what you were focused on. And then, not to mention the fact that, like I said, you did have the North Node moving through that 10th house too, so that could have been what helped help you emphasize that focus on the 10th house. So really, it might have been just a necessary evil that you had to do. The North Node moving through that house might have just really made that an area of focus for you in your life at the time. And maybe the other person was just having a bit of difficulty adjusting to that. And, but yeah, I mean, it's moved on from there now. That eclipse that I spoke about, that's going to be happening. Like I said, I'm recording this the 19th. The eclipse is going to be 20th, 21st, depending on where you are in the world. And, that could be what really that final culmination point where it's like, okay, even though the nodes have already moved out of that house, it could just be saying, all right, this is that last test, basically. And maybe with that passed, now you're like, all right, well, now I want to start over again. With the other person. But yeah, like I said, on the most basic level, first thing that came to mind when I saw these two cards together was definitely someone just trying to get some makeup sex going. You guys will know if that resonates for you or not, obviously. In the position of the environment influence on the situation, we have the 10 of Swords, and we have the 4 of Pentacles. So, what this could just be saying is this is how the other person might be feeling, still from the conflict. And if that's the case, the more that I'm looking at this, it looks like that is the other person. Because, like I said, if this is your energy, the Devil and the Ace of Wands, it's probably you who either has made or will make the offer to try to reconcile. And that would mean that would be the other person with the Nine of Wands energy there. And they're still feeling this way, you know what I mean? Like, they just might feel worn down, you know what I mean? Especially if they were the ones that were making the offers in the past all the time. If we make that connection with the 9 of Wands and the 10 of Wands, they might just feel like, like they've put in all that they could. And then if that's the case, that would explain the 4 of Pentacles energy, which is saying they're still closed off. You know what I mean? Like, they're not sure, they're not ready to open up again yet. And maybe that was based on, again, your initial offer. So maybe that makeup sex was like a backup offer that you had, You're like, all right, I tried to get him a gift or something like that, but it wasn't working. Maybe I'll try to lure him in with some sex. I don't know. But, I mean, the main thing to look at here is, I mean, we had the blue skies earlier on in the reading, right? And then the yellow there. Now you just have, both of you have that black, dark energy there. So, it's definitely a rough patch you guys are in right now. There's no way around that. But The Four of Pentacles, some people refer to this as the Miser card, but I don't see this necessarily as doom and gloom all the time either. It's just that the person is thinking it over. Really, that's the main thing that I see when I look at this card. It's like a transit of Mercury to Saturn, so it's just like, thinking about, okay, where do I want to invest my time, my energy, my effort? And so, on the more positive side, this could just be saying that the Ten of Swords is saying, okay, they're coming out of that energy. Ten of Swords means the ending of something, so that could be saying it's the ending of them being in this energy. Maybe you finally get that forward movement. And then this is a timeline too. I forgot if I mentioned it already, I apologize, but this represents the last 10 degrees of Capricorn. So basically from, let's say, the 10th to the 20th of January. So maybe that's when this happened. That's certainly a possibility as well. But yeah, that's what I'm feeling. It's like, it seems like the other person is just still feeling that way. So you might make the offer to them and they just might be a bit slow to respond to it. I don't necessarily see a true doom and gloom scenario. If the Ten of Swords was by itself, maybe, but that combined with the Four of Pentacles just shows me that, they haven't necessarily completely ruled it out. It's just that, like, they're still a little closed off and still thinking it over. And that could be even what the swords are, too. Maybe they're driving themselves crazy thinking about if they want to accept it or not. And they're bringing that upon themselves, basically, by overthinking. In the hopes or fears position, you have the Nine of Cups. So this is referred to as the wish card sometimes. Really, the warning I always give with this card, though, is if you look at the person's body language, it's kind of closed off, right? And they have like a bit of a smug look on their face. So, it is just in hopes or fears position, so it's not necessarily anything pointing to it actually playing out this month, but, just be careful of maybe being overconfident. Maybe you might feel very sure of yourself, like, oh, I'll just offer them sex and everything will be good, But, this in the hopes or fears position, and it's the wish card. Who wouldn't hope for their wish to come true, right? So it's almost, pretty weak explanation there. So I feel like this is more just saying that, you might even just be hoping to portray this image to the other person. Again, if you guys are still stuck in that Five of Swords energy, you might want to portray the image that, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm happy, you know what I mean? But really, you might not be feeling too great about it all either. So be careful of that. But what I'm seeing here, the King of Cups is at the bottom of the deck, and that's the court card for Scorpio. So if we look at that, he's almost looking in the direction of that. So he might be saying, all right, I'm close to the Ten of Cups, whether it be with this person or just something you're working on your own. Like maybe I need to, put a little bit of effort in to get that, from 9 to 10, basically. That could be what's going on there. And then in the outcome position, we have the Two of Pentacles and the World card. So these two cards together are almost polar opposites. The World represents completion, usually successful completion, so there's that. So that you have that to look forward to. And then Two of Pentacles is not making up your mind at all. It's that same indecisive energy that we see when we look at the Four of Cups, for example, or if we look at the Four of Pentacles. Those aren't the most decisive energies in the deck. So to me, it feels like either one or both of you still, initially won't make up your minds, but eventually you will. And with the World being a successful completion, whether that means the two of you end up back together, or at least you just get proper closure, it looks like that's where that's moving. As for who is in that energy more, it might be them. more in the Two of Pentacles energy compared to you, but it could really be both of you because, like I said, if you were the one who was on the receiving end of those offers in the past and not making up your mind about what you did want, and then them coming in with that Four of Pentacles energy, it could really, and the Nine of Wands energy at that, it could just be both of you embodying that energy of not making up your mind in what way you want to go. But, I mean, another thing, too, this is the first 10 degrees of Capricorn, so that could be pointing to a timeline there. The next thing that's going to be happening in those degrees is Venus is going to move into those degrees. So maybe that's saying when Venus jumps into those degrees, that's what's going to finally bring the completion that you're looking for. All right, and now we'll take a look at the Oracle cards, see what they add to the spread. So first Oracle card you have is Thinker. There's the artwork for it, and that's number 44, in case that has any significance for you. Take a look at those messages. All right, it says strategy, being analytical and logical. The Oracle's message, the ability to reason and strategize is the focus now. Take things at face value and follow the logical path. Your calculations will prove to be correct, for in this moment there is no deeper meaning than what is obvious. Things are exactly as they seem. You have all the information you need. Keep it simple and you will win the game of life you're playing right now. So, as far as you have all the information you need, keep it simple and you will win the game of life you're playing. Could just be saying maybe from that past energy. It's like, you know what that person was trying to extend to you, or vice versa, what you were offering to them. And that's just saying that, all right, you basically know what the situation is. The five, and you also are obviously very aware of the Five of Swords. Like I said, probably both of you had a role in that. So it's just saying just keep it simple, and maybe that's where you're coming from with this perspective, right? You're like, you know what, instead of me just trying to go over the top and try to, buy them gifts or whatever, like how about just some good old-fashioned makeup sex, right? And the relationship message says, love is not logical, but when you choose a partner, it is good to have things in common other than desire. This is a time to weigh the pros and cons of your partnership. If there is enough common ground, go for it. If not, there are other fish in the sea. Don't force it to work. And should others tell you who they are, take them at their word. Now is not the time to indulge in a fantasy. No matter what, in this case, the facts are the facts. So, that could definitely resonate for some of you, but that's saying, like, let's say if that's all this relationship is to you, you know what I mean? Maybe that's all you view it as, is just, oh, you have like a really intense sexual attraction to them. And they might be saying, if that's all it is, then you guys are going to keep ending up in this dynamic. And is that really something that you want to continue, right? So they're saying you might have to look at it realistically in that regard. Because immediately when it said the fact that, it's good to have things in common other than desire, to me that points to maybe that's what it is too. Maybe you guys do get into these fights because other than sex, you guys don't have much to talk about, right? So it's like, all right, well, when you get busy with one area of your life and you guys aren't having sex all the time, then the conflicts come in, right? Because you're like, that's really the only way the two of you related to begin with. And without that, you're like, all right, well, now we're just getting into these constant fights, So something to think about there. And then the prosperity message, even though this just really had a big relationship vibe, and I don't think we even focused on anything other than that for the most part, but we'll see what it says. It says, calculated action is called for now. It's important to sit down and plan a strategy. Focus on the steps you're going to take to claim your prosperous life. Lists are your friends now, so get out your journal. Write down what you're going to do today to signal to the universe that you're serious about attracting abundance. Your plans and strategies will yield wonderful results. Remember, your most effective strategic partner is spirit. You will win this game, and your triumph will be for the highest good of all. So it's kind of funny to me that it almost it feels like all of the messages were about winning, 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 except for the relationship message, you know. So that's interesting. But winning, winning. I would say this is that winning at all cost type of energy here, the Five of Swords. But again, like we said, in the relationship dynamic, at least, it's usually not the best way to go about it. But maybe this was career, you know what I mean? Maybe you guys were in a real cutthroat competitive field, and maybe, you just really had to go for broke to make it happen for yourself. And maybe you did some things that, weren't fully on the up and up, but like I said there, what's done is done, basically. But yeah, I'm not getting a huge vibe of career here. Even though, you do have the Knight of Pentacles, and like I said, the Devil card could definitely be pointing to career since it's a Capricorn card. But yeah, this just definitely seemed more like a relationship than anything. Alright, we'll read the next Oracle card, see what that could add to the reading as well. And you guys got Sandpiper Spirit. It says be playful. There's the artwork for it. And the number is 51. We'll read the messages for that. Alright, it says sandpipers are like cute little clowns, poking their beaks into the sand before darting off to chase the waves. The appearance of Sandpiper Spirit is a sign that now is a time to engage your playfulness. Whatever task you have before you, perform them with a lightness of being. Explore the familiar, discovering the new in the old. Who knows what treasures await you when you let yourself laugh and have fun. Sandpiper Spirit's happy and curious nature can help you to feel rejuvenated as you remember your ability to run and fly and dance playfully. So, to be playful, maybe that's what that's talking about with the Six of Cups, for example. It looks like two little kids, right? So it's saying maybe just reconnect to that playful side of yourself. Or, this is another thing that could point to be playful as well, which is saying, just some good old-fashioned makeup sex, right? So in that regard, it looks like it does seem to support it. So I guess you guys are going to have to feel that out as far as the relationship message and the other Oracle card. Really just, made it sound like, hey, if you know that all it is sexual, you might want to reevaluate, is that something you feel like it's worth continuing or what? But if it is someone that you know that you could have a future with, totally cool to go the makeup sex route, but, just sounds like you, whatever the case may be, if there's someone that you definitely do want to have in your life and you don't view it as something that's just toxic like that, then, it's just saying that maybe being playful will be the thing that breaks the ice and gets things back on track with the two of you. So yeah, the last thing that I have is a mudra card that I pulled for you guys. If you guys didn't see it when I did it last month, I'll just give you a quick explanation. So basically, mudras are gestures or poses that you make with your hands. Usually you'll do it while you meditate. You could hold the pose for, 5 minutes. Some say like half hour to 45 minutes. That's a bit longer than I personally would do it. But, if you can, especially if you're more used to meditating, then no harm in doing that, I guess. And then basically what they're for is they help clear blockages in different areas of life. They just help you out in general. The key word for this one is mystery. And it's the Shankha mudra. And I'll just hold the card up here so you could read the info on it. So if you guys want to screenshot it or pause the video, whatever the case may be. And I'll move it up so you can get the rest. But yeah, as far as benefits, it says improves the voice, helps reduce speech defects such as stuttering, calms the mind, improves concentration, nourishes the kidneys and sexual glands, testes, and ovaries, benefits the hair and bones, has a special connection with the navel center, thereby improving digestion and increasing appetite. So, it mentions sexual glands in there. There you go, if that's the energy that you're about right now. But yeah, improves the voice too. Maybe that's, maybe not, it's more literal than metaphorical, but maybe that would help too, if you've had some blockages in your throat chakra And maybe that's what's been causing these issues to begin with the arguments and everything. Maybe that could help with that. And I'll put the name of the mudra in the description of the video too, in case you guys want to look it up more on Google, or there's probably even YouTube videos about them. So we'll wrap up there, guys. If you guys want a personal reading, you could check out the About section of my channel for more info on that. And you can follow me on Instagram too, where we have a bit more fun with astrology and tarot. But if not, we'll wrap up there, guys, and I'll see you next month. Bye.